Hello Pokemon fans, and welcome back to another deck profile video by the Pokemon Evolutionaries. As always, I'm Professor K, and today I'll be going over the deck that we used yesterday, which was the Miltank Empoleon deck. As I said before, this deck did so well at US Nationals, even won a title in the senior division as well, I believe, and has so much power, so much potential to be a very competitive deck in the metagame. So first we'll take a look at our main attacker here, which we run 4 of, and that's going to be Miltank. Miltank has so many eligible partners that work so well with it. We've seen Miltank Greninja, we've seen Buttermilk, which is Butterfree in Miltank, and now we're looking at Empoleon Miltank. And even yesterday, you saw and ran a deck that revolved around Reuniclus, Cresselia, and Miltank. So definitely a great card to have, has a lot of different options and a lot of different ways to make a powerful deck. So we have 4 of those in this particular deck. And of course, its partner, which we required to have in order to use Powerful Friends, we have 4 Piplup. Piplup is the first evolution, of course, of Empoleon. So we have 4 of those. We want to get a long stream of Empoleon going. Sorry, I almost said Prinplup because we've got 2 of those as well. Sometimes having rare candy isn't quite enough, but we have a Prinplup in our hand, so we can evolve the old-fashioned way and go straight from Piplup to Prinplup and Prinplup into Empoleon, which is the next card we'll be taking a look at here. This is the second main attacker and also the biggest basis of support. We have 4 Empoleon here. Now this Empoleon's ability is Diving Draw. Once during your turn before you attack, you may discard a card from your hand. If you do, draw 2 cards. So this card has its own built-in draw engine. Very, very good considering that this deck in competitive play runs Tropical Beach, and obviously a lot of us don't have access to Tropical Beach, myself included, and I would never profile a deck that I know that you guys could never build. So I'm building one here for you guys to take advantage of and run that does not have Tropical Beach. And Diving Draw by itself has plenty of draw power to make this deck run perfectly fine without it. So Attack Command does 10 damage times the number of Pokemon in play, both yours and your opponent's. So if you've got a full bench, your opponent has a full bench, and you've got 2 active Pokemon, obviously, you're hitting for 120 damage for a single energy. You really can't beat that. That is actually better than Miltank in that respect. So if you can use them as an attacker, definitely do so. So there's our 4 Empoleon. Now, Diving Draw requires a card that you must discard, and sometimes in this deck we need our resources. So we have one card to make this all better, and that card is Execute. Execute is used for one reason and one reason only. Once it's in the discard pile, you can use Propagation once during your turn before you attack. If this Pokemon is in your discard pile, you may put this card into your hand. So you can keep discarding this card each turn over and over again, propagate it back, discard it, propagate, discard, and use Diving Draw essentially for free. Very good card in this deck. Now, the other card that we have, because Powerful Friends sometimes is not enough to do a to have a knockout on any Pokemon. In general, mostly just Pokemon EX, but there are some out there like Yveltal 9EX that has 130 damage, and you're only able to hit for a maximum of 100. So for that reason, we have 2 Duskull, I'm sorry. Duskull is, of course, the first form of Dusknoir, and since we already have access to rare candy, we will go ahead and throw in a Dusknoir. Just a single copy is fine. It's not necessary to make the deck work, but Sinister Hand, as often as you like, during your turn before you attack, you may move 1 damage counter from one of your opponent's Pokemon to another. Now, you can use this as often as you like, so you're able to move around all the damage on your opponent's side of the board and create knockouts much easier that way. If you've got benched Pokemon that have damage on them, you can move them around to the active, or vice versa. Very good card for that reason. So there's your Pokemon lineup here. There are 18 Pokemon in this deck. A little bit on the high side. Definitely, there are other decks out there that run more Pokemon than this one does, but still, it's a high count of Pokemon for decks in general. So now we'll take a look at our supporter lineup. Standard in a lot of respects, but also different in others. The standard way is the fact that we have 4N. 4N, each player shuffles his or her hand into the deck and draws a number of cards equal to the prize cards remaining. Most of the time this will work in your favor. This is not a deck that's going to start attacking immediately all the time, but it has the potential. So N is still a good card to have. You don't want to discard your resources, so N will keep that from happening. Obviously you want to get a full bench, so the next supporter card we're going to take a look at here is Colress. Colress, shuffle your hand into your deck and then draw a number of cards equal to the number of benched Pokemon on both sides of the board. So if you've got a full bench, your opponent has a full bench, you're drawing 10 cards. Such a powerful, powerful draw card for that reason. And in a deck that wants to have as many bench Pokemon as possible, it only makes sense that we use Colress as a draw support engine in this deck. As I said, we do not want to discard our resources, so we only have a single copy of Professor Juniper to get out of emergency situations if necessary. It always guarantees us 7 cards. It is the best draw support card in the game, but regardless, this deck wants to keep its resources, so only a single copy of Juniper is necessary. Also, we have 1 copy of Lysander. Getting something out of the active position, getting something off the bench and into the active position is always good, and not having to flip a coin for it is even better. You're not always going to use a supporter for your turn, so Lysander works very well for being a free Pokemon catcher and knocking something out that otherwise would be a threat that's sitting on the bench. Also, we have 4 copies of Skyla. Skyla, search your deck for a trainer card, reveal it, and put it into your hand. Obviously, we're running evolutions here. We can get our rare candies this way, and there's plenty of other item cards that I'll show you here in a minute that will benefit from Skyla as well. Always a good deck to have in stage, or always a good card to have in stage 2 decks. So, Skyla, definitely a great searching card. Alright, on to the items here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 copies of Rare Candy. Now, since Rare Candy was reprinted in an old set, you can run some of these older copies that just look kind of cool. And I've got one here that's a secret rare as well. You'll see a lot of that in this deck. This allows us to go straight from our basic Pokemon into our Stage 2 Pokemon. So we go straight from Piplup to Empoleon here with a Rare Candy. Same thing with Duskull and Dusknoir. We skipped the middle stage, go straight from Duskull, go straight into Dusknoir. So that's very good for that. Can't beat that for activating Stage 2 decks as fast as possible. We also have 4 copies of Ultra Ball. Ultra Ball, discard 2 cards from your hand, and you can pull out any Pokemon that you want. Very good card to have when you're trying to get Pokemon out, and this deck requires you to have a lot of them, so definitely a good choice here, and also can be used with Execute. Discard Execute, discard another card, and you get an Ultra Ball for essentially just discarding 1 card. And also we want to get out as many Piplup as possible, and even the Duskull sometimes, so we run 2 copies of Level Ball for that reason. Search your deck for Pokemon with 90 HP or less, and put it into your hand. Very simple. Any way to get out Pokemon is very beneficial to this deck. Now this deck also does depend on a couple of abilities, Diving Draw and Propagation. So we want to keep 2 copies of Startling Megaphone just in case we have the Garbodor matchup to discard that Pokemon tool off of Garbodor and disable its ability Garbotoxin. Also, if you're about to get knocked out, of course, it's a good way to discard Muscle Bands or Silver Bangles from your opponent, Float Stones if you want to keep them from getting out of the active position. So there we go. Startling Megaphone, discard all of your Pokemon tools on the other side of the board. Now this is where my deck differs for a little bit from most others. I like to run 3 copies of Muscle Band because I'm guaranteeing 20 damage. When you run more copies of Silver Bangle, obviously it's more situational, and given the changing in the metagame, we're seeing a lot more non-EX attackers than we are EX than we've ever seen before, so I feel like Muscle Band is a good choice here for this deck, doing 20 guaranteed damage to any other extra Pokemon. Plus we have Dusknoir to move around damage if necessary, but I do still run a single copy of Silver Bangle just in case we run across those big bad Pokemon EX. This card does 30 more damage. This card enables you to do 30 more damage when attached to a non-EX Pokemon to a Pokemon EX. So always good to do that extra 10 damage that Muscle Band can't necessarily get you. We do have a couple of switching cards. One of them, obviously straight up a switch. Gets your Pokemon out of the active position and switches it with a benched Pokemon. Very good if you've got a Empoleon powered up on the bench, ready to go finally after you've had a Miltank in the active position, or vice versa, and lets you hit with whichever one you want to. We also have an Escape Rope. Escape Rope forces your opponent to switch their active Pokemon with a benched Pokemon. They get to choose, but they must choose their Pokemon to put in the active position first. So even though you do have to switch here, you'll see what your opponent's going to switch into and make your decision from there. So that's always a good switching card to have. This deck does burn through some Pokemon sometimes and some energy, so we run 2 copies of Super Rod to get that back into the deck. You can shuffle 3 in any combination of Pokemon or basic energy cards into your hand out of your discard pile, or into your deck out of your discard pile. Very good to get out water energies that you threw away or Pokemon that you've thrown away and get them straight back into the deck. So there's Super Rod for that purpose, and the A-Spec in this deck is going to be Dowsing Machine. It gives you another copy of any trainer card that you have here in your deck. It can give you a 5th Rare Candy, a 5th Ultra Ball, a 3rd Level Ball, a 3rd Startling Megaphone, Muscle Band, Silver Bangle Switch, Escape Rope, Super Rod, or any of your supporters as well. So this is one of the best, if not the best, A-Spec in the game right now. Cannot beat the ability to replicate trainer cards. Alright, and finally, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 water energy. That's all you need, considering that all of your attackers only require a single energy to start dealing damage. So, there you have it. We've got our Miltank Empoleon deck. These two right here work together very, very well. I think it makes for one of the best, if not the best, Miltank combinations that there is. Miltank Greninja is definitely a favorite of mine too, but I really, really like this deck as well, and I feel like it has a lot of power and a lot of potential to be one of the top decks. So there you guys have it. There is your Miltank and Empoleon deck. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I know I did. Definitely playing the deck is a lot of fun, putting all that stuff together and running through the strategy. It's just a lot of fun to face off against opponents that way. So one of my favorite decks right now, I think, in the game. So alright guys, that's going to be it for today. As always, like, comment, subscribe if you guys are new to the channel. We love getting feedback from our fans all the time, regardless what you've got to say, whether it's positive or negative. We just appreciate hearing from you guys and know that you guys are enjoying our content. We're always trying to make ourselves better here over at the Pokemon Evolutionaries, and we hope that we're fitting the bill for you guys. So until next time,